name is Andy, and I am the village idiot, and I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Okay, so today we're starting a new district. I'm on my way to Burnley, and on the way I'm going through the western half of West Yorkshire, and that means calling through Calderdale. And that's where I am right now. There's only 8 parishes in Calderdale, and this is the first one of the 8. It's the smallest one in West Yorkshire as well, and it's got an interesting backstory. Welcome to Hesleythorpe.
Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like, and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Hesleythorpe, or sometimes just shortened to Hesley, lies a few miles west of Halifax within the district of Calderdale in West Yorkshire. It lies in a relatively steep valley with 2 major roads connecting it to the next village and to Halifax. At the 2001 census, it sported a population of 2,450, which, despite some large areas of new builds springing up over the last 10 years, has in fact seen a population decrease. At the 2011 census, only 1,930 people lived here. That's a steep drop, and pretty much unprecedented, although to understand why, we first have to address one big thing that's changed in the intervening decade. So how might a place lose quite a lot of population in one go? Well, it's because in 2012 it split. These flats you can see in front of me here are no longer within the parish of Hesleythorpe. They are now in the unparished area of Halifax, and on this side of the road, this side is all still Hesleythorpe Parish. So all of these flats behind this one you can see in front of me, there's a fair few of them, have all now transferred to the unparished area, leaving, of course, this bit on its own. The part that still falls within Hesleythorpe is arguably the much more interesting part. It still retains the church, no less than 5 pubs, and most of the history. Hesleythorpe was not mentioned in the Domesday Book, although its roots can be traced back to Viking times. It was known as Hextorp or Heckelstorp, presumably an old Danish personal name believed to be Heck or Hekla. For many centuries, Hesleythorpe was an agricultural settlement, but the Industrial Revolution would quickly change that in the 1800s. So behind me here we have Milton Hill, sometimes called Milton Heath, goes by both names. And you can see it's quite hilly as well. And that's because some of the heath used to be a medieval settlement, and there are still some earthworks there. I'm not going to go up there though, because I'm heading down this footpath. And this footpath indeed is interesting too, because later on we'll discover what this footpath used to be. In 1823, Hesleythorpe recorded a tiny population, just 45 in fact, and interestingly only 10 properties were recorded too, suggesting there were some large families. It was discovered to be sitting on a coal seam some 250 yards deep. It wasn't long before 3 mine shafts were sunk here. All 3 mines have now closed, and with them a lot of the former mine workers' houses have now been lost, thanks to them being structurally unsafe. The family behind the mines in these parts were the Miltons, a local landowning family who lived at Hesleythorpe Hall, which is now in the unparished part of the village. A lot of the workers in the mines were brought from South Wales, as the village was so small and quickly needed experienced workers. It's not uncommon then to see the Welsh flag all around Hesleythorpe as a result. We'll talk some more about that later. Despite its historical connections with coal, there are still parts of the village which are pretty enough to attract visitors on a regular basis. Some of the scenery was used as a backdrop for scenes in the TV show Downton Abbey. So you get a good indication here of how steep this valley is. I'm coming down Fool's Hill now. You can see the church at the top there, high on the hill, and the main village is in this valley. Some of the oldest properties in the village are quite stunning architecturally and well worth the eye-watering average house price. No surprise then that the royal family even have connections out here too. In the late 1990s, Princess Anne owned properties in the village. Hesleythorpe has plenty of unwanted pieces of history too. During World War II, parts of the village were lost to German air raids. In 2013, there were severe floods. That's not likely to happen again though, thanks to a brand new £5.4 million defence scheme in the valley, protecting the village from any further encroachment from the nearby rivers. If Hesleythorpe has any claims to fame, it would likely be the Witches' Bridge, a notorious local landmark which we'll see later. Demographically, the 1,930 people who call this place home are packed into an area of just 1.3 square kilometres. It's a tight squeeze. This gives it a population density of 1,484. 97.4% of the population are white British, although interestingly a chunk of those people are in fact Welsh, distant relatives of the workers who were drafted in from South Wales to work in the mines. Hesleythorpe even has what's called a Welsh club, the members of which often meet in the various pubs. In fact, during the Six Nations rugby, this is the place to be if you're a Welshman living in England. The average house in the village is pretty pricey. It comes in at £422,000. The parish church is very notable in that it's believed to be the oldest in the entire county. Although it's been refurbished and added to over the years, parts of the original Saxon building date back to at least the 9th century. On April 1st, 1979, the small spire which used to adorn the top of the tower here mysteriously went missing. To this day, nobody in Hesleythorpe knows what happened to it. There are several theories, but none of them have ever been proven. The church has been featured in a number of films though. The churchyard was the setting for the funeral scene in the film The Fourth Month back in 2006. There's a small Methodist church here as well, which replaced an older building that was demolished in the 1960s. The Mill Dam is the newest of the 5 pubs that remain in Hesleythorpe, and it's the most popular. It serves food too. The Crown Inn is much older, dating back to the 1750s. It's located at the foot of Fool's Hill. Next is the Yellow Lion, a fairly quiet pub compared to the rest, but a favourite amongst the Welsh Club members. The last 5 landlords of this one have all come from the Principality. The Milton Arms was once called the Joker, but renamed itself in 1994 in memory of the aforementioned Milton family. The Ship Inn is the oldest of the 5. It's been here almost since the village was first settled and still to this day remains as popular as ever. As if that wasn't enough, there's a former pub here as well, aptly named the Prince of Wales, but this recently closed and has since reopened as a restaurant. Parks and recreational spaces are good here. There's a small park on Milton Heath, which has a multi-use games area, and plenty for the youngest members of the community too. Then we have Averill Park, which is where we come across the parish notice board. It was redeveloped from a patch of waste ground in 2009. Averill Park is named for a lady we'll talk about in a few moments. The park is located to the east of the main road through the village. It has a bowling green right in the middle of it and plenty of space for adults and children alike to use recreationally. There's a co-op here, which is the main retail facility, but there are some smaller shops and takeaways on Fool's Hill as well. I fully recommend this sandwich shop too. If you call in, be sure to try their unique speciality. It's a very popular triple fried egg butty with chilli sauce and chutney. Be sure to check out the glowing reviews of it on their Facebook page. There's a small chippy here too, named 5 Oceans. Hesleythorpe has a small community library which until recently held records of the village's history. Unfortunately, they were destroyed in the floods in 2013. There's a small medical centre which serves the needs of the residents of both the parished and unparished parts of the village. Greenside Court is a large care home which was founded by German nurse Avril Dumkopf, who the park is named for in 1996. The school here was founded in 1922, originally as Hesleythorpe Primary School, but it changed its name in the 1970s in honour of the Miltons. It's now known as the Hesley Milton Academy. There's a former petrol station on the roundabout in the centre of the village, which is allegedly haunted by a highwayman who was murdered here in the 1500s. Oh look everyone, the channel's favourite trail is back. The Trans-Pennine Trail skirts the edge of the village running west towards Grange Park, an area of the adjoining Ripponden parish. Not all of Hesleythorpe's former mining buildings are gone, in fact some parts were even saved. Check out this amazing piece of architecture, which was originally over the entrance to the main colliery buildings. It's been fabulously preserved and stands proudly at the bottom of Milton Hill. Then we have the Hesleythorpe Arch, which is the war memorial. To the north of the main village we have some woods colloquially known as the Sobriety Woods, and it's not uncommon for those who have had a few too many in the pubs here of an evening to be found in this wood the next morning. In keeping with the tree theme, on Milton Hill you'll come across this tree, which once marked the geographical centre of West Yorkshire until it was proven not to be here in the early 1990s. And to finish this section we have the notorious Witches Bridge. To the untrained eye this looks just like any other underpass with a footpath running beneath a road at the top of Milton Hill. However, the bridge that stands here now is not the original. In the 1300s the original stone bridge here crossed a stream, which has now been filled in. Local folklore tells of a woman who lived by the bridge offering travellers and their horses water from the stream. Anyone who drank the water would mysteriously vanish without a trace. So the stream that used to run underneath the bridge was this footpath, but it hasn't completely disappeared. As you can see here, look, it's still present along the side. Effectively, it was filled in and sort of diverted to the east slightly. It now runs underneath this footpath and out the other side of the road. You can see the distance there. So I'm back where we began at the Hesleythorpe Arch, the green here in the centre of the village. Now we're not quite finished because I still need to go out to the east of the village to catch one more thing, which is really very interesting, and you wouldn't even know it existed unless you had a bit of research beforehand, if you know what I mean. It's one of those things that will easily pass you by. I'm heading there now, but for now here's the picture bit for the parish of Hesleythorpe. To the east of the main village we come across a pipe running alongside the road. This might look like a gas pipe, but in fact it's carrying something much more mundane. If you were to crack this pipe open you'd find it was carrying milk. There's a dairy on a small industrial estate just over the border into Halifax, and under normal circumstances milk from the farms here would be transported by lorry. However, this road is impassable to HGVs thanks to a weak bridge over this stream, so the milk is piped to the dairy to avoid any accidents. So there you go, that's something you don't see every day, isn't it? A pipe carrying milk. Amazing. To the dairy on the industrial estate, which is literally just there and over the parish boundary into the unparished area of Halifax. And I'm about to put the camera on the dashboard and drive you down there to the industrial estate to finish this one off, to play us out. This has been the parish of Hesleythorpe, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.